Use your powers for evil.
Your evil is mine.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. Yay! 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 So, this is a very special episode of Next Stop Everywhere, episode 54, by the way. We have a special guest with Jesse, my regular co-host, and I. We have Lola Lariscy with, I hope I pronounced that right.
That's right. That's perfect.
Excellent. With Lola Lariscy with ScannerDrome from ScannerDrome. And Lola was kind enough to join a friend of the show, Karen Lindsay, and I on the Fandom Zone podcast. And I gather that Jesse, that Lola was also recently on set lusting Bruce.
She was. It was, she met with our podcast leader, Rob, and expressed some interest in crossing over with some of our podcasts. And as she had already said that she was going to do Fandom Zone with you guys and do Doctor Who with us. And so I was like, hey, do you want to talk music? And she's like, well, I'm not a big Bruce fan. I'm like, that's okay. And so it's coming up probably this week if I can get it edited in time. We had a wonderful discussion about Kate Bush.
That's awesome.
And, really nice. And special treat, my lovely bride, Linda, was walking by and she went, wait a minute. And she stopped and moved over and pulled a chair up and actually joined us for 5 or 10 minutes. So that was great.
So she was like a drive-by podcaster.
Yes, she was. Linda loves Kate Bush.
She was truly the special guest for that episode.
Yeah, it was really neat. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
So the other thing, Charles,
yes,
a guy tweeted me last night. I was at a Bruce Springsteen tribute band.
Here we go.
And the guy who in his bio says he loves Bruce Springsteen and Doctor Who.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, it's you.
Yeah, I told him that.
Are you sure that was one of your past incarnations?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or the other universe.
Exactly.
Yes. So I reached out to the guy. I said, you should join us.
Yeah.
And we should do a whole episode on if you had a TARDIS, where would you go? Because he said he was a baseball fan. And I said, would you go to classic baseball fans first, or would you go to classic, Bruce shows? And I thought I'm going to, as we, try to organize on the air, I'm going to try to get him, and then the three of us, and you can talk about concerts you want to go to, Charles, that wouldn't be Bruce Springsteen.
Well, see, I would really screw you up and put in a moratorium against any Bruce Springsteen show or any baseball game. So just to see what other answer you could come up with.
Well, you know what you could do,
because you could say, well, I like to go back to my wedding.
Well, and what I was thinking is,
or some big moments like the birth of your son Chris, and
so the birth of Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, so because I was thinking, because if I had 5 choices, they wouldn't all 5 be Bruce Springsteen shows. There's other concerts I would want to go to.
Okay,
they keep kind of a musical theme is the reason why, versus going back and killing Hitler and seeing River Song.
Well, remember, that's a fixed point. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. And there'll be someone else.
I wanted to see her in that dress in person. So
River Song?
Yes.
That would be awesome. Well, and the bonus thing is you could go to almost any point in time. I mean, up until, when she is no more to when she's born. So you could pick any time.
Yes.
That is fantastic. So
my hope is Alex Kingston is going to be in Houston for Memorial Day weekend. And if I have time, I just want to ask her, describe when she acted with 3 different actors playing the Doctor. Did she treat them all as the same character in her mind? Or what was her process on that? Ooh, that's my question I'm going to ask.
Good question.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, I missed my chance. She was supposed to go out to Salt Lake Comic-Con last year, and sadly she had to cancel. I think she was because she was recording The Husbands of River Song for Doctor Who at the time.
I am so
Which is fine, you know. I understand,
absolutely.
but
I am so fearful she's going to cancel. I'm so looking forward to meeting her.
I would say the odds of her canceling on both of us would be pretty astronomical.
Very much.
So I would say you're probably safe.
I hope
Unless
so.
she just canceled her whole tour thingy or whatever.
Just don't mention that you know me. That way.
Okay, there we go.
Exactly.
So she's just ducking me. That's it.
Absolutely.
All right. So tonight we are going to be talking about The Unicorn and the Wasp by special request from Lola.
Yeah.
It's an excellent episode. It's one we haven't covered yet, so even better.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a great little murder mystery, and made even better because we have the Doctor and the 10th Doctor and Donna Noble meeting Agatha Christie.
So, are we skipping Lola and her Doctor Who background?
No, we're not.
Okay.
I was just.
See, this is why Charles doesn't like driving, is because I am a backseat driver.
He is.
Turn left.
Jesse is very much a control freak. So
go back.
So if he's not driving, it's just like, you should be doing this, and it's like,
I see a fruit stand that I want to go to.
I'm getting there. Okay.
But to be fair, the other day I did bring up something, and you went, "Oh yeah, I had skipped that." So that's
yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You're a team. You're looking out for
We are
a team, and there is no one I love talking Doctor Who more than Charles.
Okay. So before we get into the episode, why don't we ask Lola, as Jesse pointed out, your Doctor Who background. Are you a newbie like Jesse, or are you old school classic Who fan like myself?
I am a newbie. And the funny thing is, I would see Doctor Who episodes when I was a kid, but I would always think, that looks kind of hokey. I thought it was like a kid's show. I was like, I don't want to watch that.
Right.
And then when I was older, I had friends who loved Doctor Who. I have one particular friend where that's pretty much all she talks about. And it got kind of odd there for a little while because she was only talking about that and I'd never really seen it. So I was like, okay, want a beer? And then I had another friend who loved it, but I still didn't want to watch it because I was still like, oh, that was hokey. I didn't like it.
Right.
And then I met my boyfriend. And my boyfriend at the time loved Doctor Who. The funny thing is now he doesn't care anymore. It's like he handed the torch to me. He doesn't care anymore. But what got me hooked is, he would watch it and I would just happen to be in the room. And it was the episodes, the last episodes of Rory and
Amy. Right.
Amy.
Yeah.
I blanked for a second.
Okay, so like the Angels Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
So
all
like,
that.
All right. So like that halfway point in series 7 where we said goodbye to Amy and Rory and then went on a little hiatus and brought Clara in.
And that's when I came in.
So that's actually not a bad time because then you have a new companion and you can kind of jump on board with a companion. So that works out pretty good.
So Lola, why has he stopped being a fan?
I don't know. I talked about him last night on our show, so and I think I might have annoyed him, but I think sometimes I think he just likes to be obstinate. He likes it if he likes it, but then if I start to like, he's like, I don't like it anymore.
So you took away his cool thing.
I think so.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He still likes Star Wars, so
if he was a true fan, he would share that love of Doctor Who with you, right?
I know, and we would watch them all together.
That's what that's what my wife Lori and I do. We watch Doctor Who together. I was an old school fan, but I got her watching the new show, and she's a huge David Tennant fan. So
me too.
So is David Tennant your doctor then?
He's my favorite. I love him. I'll watch him in anything. I was so happy when he was in Jessica Jones, even though he was a bad guy.
He was really creepy in Jessica Jones.
He was so creepy.
He was really great in that. To bring it back to, like, I think I would be thrilled if Kate Bush got, like, she put out an album and it just shot up the charts. I would not go, oh, she's not cool anymore now because everyone knows them. I would just be thrilled. I would be happy for her. Yeah.
Yeah, you would take pride in the fact that you were ahead of the curve.
Right.
Because you were into Kate Bush before it was cool.
Right.
Exactly.
So
See,
yeah.
he could hold that over me. He could be like, "Yeah, you're watching Doctor Who, but I watched it way back then." So he's kind of lost that hold over me.
That's
I just
interesting.
don't get it.
Yeah, because I find
there's some serious couples counseling.
Yeah,
that
He's-
needs to take place in that regard.
I take a lot of pride in if a Whovian actor has mainstream success.
Me
I'm
too.
very happy. I'm happy that we just talked about Tennant being the bad guy or Matt Smith being in a major movie
of
or
the
something.
Galaxy.
Yeah. I'm happy about that.
That's an interesting point, because this episode that we're talking about here, the Unicorn and the Wasp, there's a very minor character in this episode that has grown on to be quite a famous star.
The young girl.
Yes, which I'll get into. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
So, so we ready to dive in?
Yes,
Sure.
we are.
Right.
Into the silent pool. Sorry.
Exactly. I know what you're talking about. Yes, the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You see, you didn't think I'd catch that reference, but I caught that reference. All right. So just to give a little background in this episode, this episode was from Series 4 from 2008. It's the 7th episode of the season, written by Gareth Roberts, who previously wrote the Shakespeare Code, which is another excellent episode. And there's actually a little Shakespeare Code in-joke toward the end of Unicorn and the Wasp, where the doctor, he's opening up his trunk, and there's this little globe that holds the Carianites.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that's the little in-joke. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, that's from the Shakespeare Code.
Nice.
And this is directed by Graham Harper, who is directed. He was an old school Doctor Who director in the classic series. Directed a really famous story, The Caves of Androzani, which is Peter Davison's last story. And he came back. Thankfully, they brought him back for the modern era during the Russell T Davies era, and he directed this episode and did, I think, a great job with it, because it's a lot of fun, and it's a great little murder mystery story, in my opinion.
Me too.
So
yeah, I totally agree.
So Jesse, we'll cut back to you now. What's your impressions on this episode?
I believe if I did not know that Lola had picked this episode, and I'm curious, I want to hear from her why she did. I would think that this is your continuing quest for me to embrace Donna.
Right. Yeah.
I love Donna.
See, I enjoyed Donna too, but Jesse is a little resistant.
Jesse.
Yeah, I am not a big Donna fan.
So did this episode do anything to make you more of a Donna fan?
Yes, of course, I always liked this episode. When I saw it the first time, I have a fondness for when they interact with actual historical figures, and they do it. Vincent the Doctor, if I had to put down one episode, I think might be
great episode,
my favorite episode of all time.
We still have to cover that one.
Yes, I know.
That's one of the seminal ones.
I know.
And so I love this. I love the banter back and forth. I do love the shtick that every time somebody tries to say the Doctor and Donna are a couple, they no. I just thought this was a great murder mystery. I thought the whole in the parlor at the end, the cliche of telling everything that happened was funny, how they kind of played with that. So yeah, just a great episode.
That's awesome. So Lola, how about you? What's your general impression of this episode?
Well, first of all, Donna and the Doctor are my favorite pairing. I just love Catherine Tate. I think she's hilarious. She's such a goofball. She reminds me of me. Because I would be that person going, toodaloo, what am I supposed to do? And, tripping all over myself and everything. So I just adore her. And I love Agatha Christie. I have loved Agatha Christie since I was a child.
Ooh.
I love her books. I love the TV adaptions, the movie adaptions, everything. So this is just the perfect marriage of some of my two favorite things.
You got Doctor Who and you got Agatha Christie. Two great tastes that go great together.
And they did a great job too. I actually made notes. I went through almost the entire oeuvre, and I found bits from this episode that were pulled from different Agatha Christie things.
There's a lot of Agatha Christie references in this episode. Yep.
So it was perfect for me. They did a great job. You can tell the person who wrote it really has read or at least watched a lot of Agatha Christie adaptations.
So you thought that the references were pretty faithful,
yes,
and that somebody actually did their homework. Probably Gareth Roberts did his homework.
Right.
That's great. Fantastic. So I think one of the things I wanted to talk about. This episode, as I said, has a minor guest star that actually went on to be quite famous, or is becoming famous. She's kind of like, her career is definitely on the rise. And I'm talking about Felicity Jones, who played Robina Redmond, the unicorn, as we find out. And so she played, for those who don't know, she played Stephen Hawking's wife in The Theory of Everything, and that's kind of where she became famous. And I think wasn't she up for an Academy Award for that?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. And she's also going to be, for those who don't know, she's going to be the lead actress in the upcoming Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Nice.
Which is so she's playing, I think she's playing the female squadron leader of like a, I don't know if it's like they're X-wing pilots or what, but I think it's because I think that story is going to be like how they got the plans for the Death Star so that they could blow it up in the first Star Wars movie. So, and I think she's part of that, and she's going to be leading the squadron. So it's going to be interesting to see her like taking on a huge science fiction franchise like that, especially with the first spin-off film.
Maybe it'll be like when Emily Blunt did the movie with Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. I think you're right. I think it will be. And those two actresses, now that you brought it up, they seem very similar.
They remind me of each other. Sometimes I get them mixed up. I'm like, which dark-haired British actress is that?
Right.
Yeah.
But so we've got her. We've got Fenella Woolgar as Agatha Christie. So as an Agatha Christie buff, what do you think of Fenella Woolgar's?
I thought she did great.
Her portrayal, yeah.
I thought she did great. I was looking at some old pictures of Agatha Christie, and I mean, she also kind of had that long face,
right?
The very intelligent eyes. So I just, it's kind of how I imagined her. I thought she did a great rendition. I was reading on Wikipedia that Agatha Christie had red hair, but other than that, I thought it was fabulous.
Very cool.
Yeah, I thought she was really very good, and I love when the people the Doctor is interacting with is smart, and he's impressed with it, and he's impressed not just like sometimes when the Doctor's impressed, he's impressed as the way a pet does a really nice trick,
right?
But in this case, he really does seem to be impressed by her talent, and that she's brilliant.
I think they're both. I think they're both impressed by each other.
Yes,
because when they're together in whatever the study or whatever, and you've got the Doctor and Agatha, they're both kind of like they're sitting there pondering. They're like kind of like in their own thoughts, but they're also discussing it out loud to kind of get each other's feedback, and they're kind of like, without even realizing it, they're working together to solve this mystery.
And at the beginning, she thinks she's not worthy. She says, "I'm not Poirot. I'm just a writer."
Right.
And he says, "But this comes from you. You thought this up. You can do this."
That's great. Yep. I thought the chemistry between David Tennant and Fenella Woolgar was great. And I kind of would like to see Agatha Christie back.
I would too.
I don't know how they would do it, but you could, because you don't want it to be like a forced reunion, but it would be great to kind of see her with like Capaldi's Doctor would be very interesting to me.
Or some of the audio dramas they're doing.
Exactly.
They could do that. Has Tennant been doing them? I think hasn't he been doing some?
His first one, because you bring it up for Big Finish Audio. For those who don't know, David Tennant is returning to the role of the 10th Doctor. Catherine Tate is returning as Donna Noble. So the first 3-story set is coming out from Big Finish. It should be later this year. Probably, I think in a 2 or 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. So that's coming out, and they're going to be doing more after that. But I'm really looking forward to it, especially now it's been a few years to kind of hear the Doctor and Donna together again.
I would love that. My favorites.
So one other person I wanted to bring up before moving on. This is kind of like, this is for old school fans like myself, because Christopher Benjamin, who's the guy who plays Colonel Hugh Kirbishley. Okay, the guy who's in the wheelchair, but he's not really paralyzed. That kind of that guy.
That cracked me up.
Yeah. He's actually was noted for a huge Tom Baker story called "The Talons of Wang Chiang," where he played Henry Gordon Jago, and he's actually reprised Henry Jago for a Big Finish spin-off set of audios called Jago and Lightfoot.
Oh wow!
So he's interacted with other doctors like Colin Baker's doctor and stuff like that. So it's it wasn't just that one time way back when. They actually, because his character is so great in that story, and so I was glad that Big Finish brought his character back, and it's great to see him here. He was also in a third Doctor story called Inferno. He played a guy called Sir Keith Gold, not nearly as memorable as Henry Jago, but I was just glad because I really loved the Talons of Wang Chiang, and so to see that guy, it's like, oh, hey, it's Henry Jago. That was just great for me speaking as an older fan.
Well, and one of the great things about Doctor Who is that it's been on so long that they kind of have to reuse actors. I mean, if you look at someone's IMDb, you'll see Doctor Who 2014, and then down you'll see Doctor Who 1970 or whatever. And you're like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's you've got guys that like they play like early in their careers, way back when they were on Doctor Who, playing like guards or something, and then here they are like decades later, they return as like older characters and whatnot.
They're promoted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like absolutely. Now they're like in actual lead characters in the episode, which is great. And then that's one of the cool things about that is that they're not afraid to go back to that well and bring back actors from the past, which is great. So if we haven't really kind of talked about the 10th Doctor and Donna, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I kind of want to get your impressions, Lola, of their dynamic. So I kind of want what kind of makes them work for you? Why are they your favorite pairing? I guess that's my question.
Well, besides, I just love Catherine Tate. There was a whole thing with Rose and the Doctor. I didn't mind the love story so much with them, but I know a lot of people hated it. And I got to the point where I got tired of hearing people hate it. And I kind of got tired of it. I was like, just do something. I mean, you would think it would have ended with her going to another universe, but whatever. So I was tired of that. And then you had, I've forgotten her. Martha, who, was chasing after the Doctor. And that was just, that was not classy.
Because it was unrequited.
Right. And that rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, no, that's not the way it works. That's not how I want my companion to be. So I actually liked that they established from the very beginning, she said, no, I don't see you that way.
Right.
And I mean, they kept that. They didn't try to do a will they or won't they thing. I like that they kept it strictly platonic.
And that's, Jesse, I'm going to go to you now. But I know this is, I know what my response is because I appreciated the platonic relationship as an older fan. But so Jesse, I know you're not the biggest fan of the Dr. Donna. But...
Yeah, and I should be because I agree I think it's interesting for the Doctor and the companion not to have a romantic relationship after Rose and Martha.
Mm-hmm.
Though, to be fair, Martha is my favorite companion. But I just didn't find... I thought Donna was a little too...
brash.
Yes, I was going to say
Very
fish-washy.
Yeah.
Fish,
Fish out of water kind of thing.
Yeah, and well, just this kind of almost a caricature, and she's
obnoxious.
She's obnoxious,
cartoonish.
Yes, and I just
agree.
didn't care for her. So I think that's it's not a very subtle performance.
No.
She's very broad, and I just didn't care for it. Though, as I keep watching, and as Charles and I are going through classic episodes, and I'm starting to understand that's what Catherine Tate was going for,
Mm-hmm.
and they were shooting that different style. And I also, Lola, we just did a audio where we got to meet Lucy with the Eighth Doctor, and she kind of has that vibe as well. So I'm a little... I can take her a little bit more. I think it also... What hurts is when I originally watched the episodes, I was mainlining them. So I'm, going through disc after disc.
And so you got burned out on Donna.
I've been a
That's a
little
bit
Donna.
much.
Yes.
Okay.
You needed a breather.
So doing it piecemeal is
Right.
a little easier for you to
more.
take. Is that
Yes.
what? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
See-
5 minutes at a time.
see-
Watch 5 minutes, stop.
See,
Watch 5 minutes, stop.
We're chipping away at Jesse's dislike of Donna, just bit by bit, just like the 12th Doctor punching the wall in the was it the series 9, the penultimate episode.
Yes.
So we'll get there eventually. It may take hundreds and millions of years, but we'll get there.
5 billion years.
Yes,
and then you can buy an Agatha Christie novel,
Nice.
which is a real novel. That's
Nice.
a real novel, by the way.
Yeah, I know, because you open it up, it says published in the year 5 billion, wasn't it, or something?
I love that. Yeah,
Yep.
they still
Yes.
have paper books. How
They
sweet.
said,
Yeah.
I was looking at a note that it actually was a 1957.
Yeah, they called it a facsimile edition.
Yeah, that
Okay.
actually was a real book that they inserted
Yeah,
the fake copyright page, which is pretty cool.
that is cool. All right, so we talked about, we started getting into Fenella Woolgar's Agatha Christie. So Lola, this is going to be your chance to shine and impress me as an Agatha Christie fan, because I'm gathering I take it you wrote down notes about the various references and whatnot.
I spent all day on this. I started around 11 a.m. and I finished about 5:30.
Wow.
Yep. I went through almost every Agatha Christie publication. There are like 100. But I went through almost every one, and I identified each one that had touchstones that the Unicorn and the Wasp touched on. Some of these might be spoilery for Agatha Christie, so if I think it's spoilery, then I'll just kind of skirt over it.
Okay, fair enough.
But for instance, as far as novels set in country estates, I found 5.
Okay.
In The Unicorn and the Wasp, they pretend to be from Scotland Yard. Well, almost every Poirot novel is tied to Scotland Yard because Poirot works alongside Inspector Japp from Scotland Yard.
Okay.
And then I have one little section called Party. There are 4 novels that set place at a party. I have another section I called Hi There, Vicar. There are 2 Agatha Christie novels that have vicars in them. And
Which is a very, very British thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the town
Very
vicar.
British, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the town vicar is like the center of the town, or at least.
Especially if you watched the show Broadchurch.
Yeah, Vicar, Rory. Once again, Rory.
And Arthur Darvill, who plays the vicar on Broadchurch. So yeah.
Yeah, he's good with computers. But yeah, I don't, I mean, poor guy got he got a little bit of a reputation there when it came to children, so I kind of felt for him.
Yep.
I was like, poor Vicar. I have another section called "A Letter is Found." So I found 4 Agatha Christie novels where someone found a letter and that directed the episode, or they found a piece of paper.
Okay.
I have another section called Stabby, Stabby, Stabby. Because Agatha Christie, as much as I love her, she has a very small repertoire of weapons.
Right.
And she likes knives. So I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 novels where someone is stabbed. And when it comes to anyone could be the murderer, we don't know who the murderer is. It could be anyone.
Right, the whodunit.
Right. I found 2 where anyone could be the murderer. I mean, everyone is a suspect. Murder on the Orient Express and Death in the Clouds.
Right. And Death in the Clouds is the one that's on the book that's referenced in Unicorn and the Wasp, right?
Exactly, yes. And if I remember correctly, I think there is actually a wasp in it.
Right, because it's featured on the cover, so yeah.
Yeah, they think the weapon is a wasp, but it turns out maybe it's not. Let's see. Okay, jewel thieves and robberies. This features prominently in Agatha Christie's work. I found, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, either novels or short stories where there was a jewel thief or a robbery. I found at least one where you think the jewel thief did the murder, but she didn't.
Okay.
There are 2 where the jewel is just valuable. The Mystery of the Blue Train and a story called The Case of the City Clerk. And then there are 2 where it's a famous jewel thief, like the Unicorn. There's the Marquis from The Mystery of the Blue Train, and then there's a famous jewel thief in Death of the Nile.
Wow.
Now, when it comes to a socialite, there's at least one in Death on the Nile. And one of the things I really liked is Agatha Christie just happened to be there, and there just happened to be a murder. Well, just like Donna, you would think that would be far-fetched, right?
Right.
Well, one of Agatha Christie's characters is Ariadne Oliver, and she's a mystery writer. And she is either present at murders and calls Poirot to come in, or she and Poirot just happen to be somewhere where there's a murder. So she's kind of like his, assistant, or, well, I wouldn't say assistant, his partner in detecting.
Right.
And there's another one in in Death in the Clouds. There's another writer named Mr. Clancy, and he kind of helps put things together.
So do you think it's more like Agatha Christie writing herself into the story?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Most people think that Ariadne Oliver seems to be a dead ringer for Agatha Christie. It seems like that's the character she knows. And interestingly enough, Ariadne Oliver is played by Zoe Wanamaker, who I adore.
Right, Madam Hooch, and who was also in Doctor Who.
Do you know who she played?
Yeah, she was, the bitchy trampoline.
Yep.
From The End of the World. Yep.
The Last Human.
Yep.
She's the last human.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's her. Oh, that creeps me out.
Yeah, I can't stand that character.
Yeah, I just can't. And then you have the face of Bo, which also creeps me out. I can't. Face of Bo.
Yeah, we just talked about The End of the World not too long ago.
We did.
I think it was like two episodes ago, or 2 or 3, and we neither Jesse nor I buy the implication that Captain Jack becomes the face of Bo.
I don't think so. I mean, I know he's immortal, but
where does his body go?
Yeah, where's his body? Why is his face like 8 feet wide?
Yeah, why does he have like tentacles suddenly coming out of his head? What's up with
I know.
That? Yep.
I can't imagine that Captain Harkness would want to live like that. Just a face. I think he would miss the pleasures of the body.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So, this is Captain Jack we're talking about, who, like, he sees like anything that moves, he wants to have sex with it.
He wants to pin it down.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So it's hard to.
So So Jesse, are you impressed? Because I'm seriously impressed.
I am. First off, I'm impressed with all the research, but I'm even more impressed with the fun category names.
Yes.
I was inspired by Karen because Karen has her little category names.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I was inspired by that.
So is there
Yes.
anything else that you had, or is it, I didn't
Yes,
want to interrupt.
I've
I didn't mean to interrupt. So
That's okay. I've got more, but before I forget it, you can tell Karen. She can say copyright Karen Lindsay. So if she wants, she can do that because she was the inspiration.
I will let her know.
Yep. So when we saw the gargoyle fall off the building and hit the person, I thought that's been done in Agatha Christie. Sort of. In Death of a Nile, a boulder falls off of a cliff and hits someone.
Okay.
And then we get to poison. Poison is Agatha Christie's favorite. I've got, let's see, let me count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 novels or stories with poison. Now, she has a gamut of different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
She has strychnine, cyanide. Well, when they thought it was the wasp, but it turned out to be poison.
Right.
Arsenic in a cake. Cyanide in sparkling champagne.
And cyanide was the poison that was in this episode.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so she likes cyanide. Someone is poisoned by nicotine. Digitoxin.
Yeah. It's probably digitalis, maybe.
It said digitoxin. That's what Wikipedia said,
Okay.
and I believe them. I believe what Wikipedia says because it's just one person writing that.
Right.
And they're like the face of Bo. They know everything.
Right. Okay.
That's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just. I thought it was funny what you said.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's I've even got a category called "Person Goes to the Toilet Under a Ruse." in Death in the Clouds, the dentist goes to the toilet, but he's really doing something pertaining to the story.
So Lola, I'm going to interrupt you just for a moment.
Sure.
Charles and I do not name our podcast. We just kind of do, episode number, and then we list what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. But if we named our podcast,
yes, this
would be the title of this episode.
Person goes to the toilet under a roof. Yeah.
Yes.
I like it.
It's awesome.
I like it. Do it. That's fine with me. Copyright Lola Lariscy. That's fine with me.
That might be a little long for a blog post, but or like when on the on our little header, or for iTunes or something, it might be a little long for that. But
you could do just toilet ruse.
There you go. There we go.
All right, now I've got.
That's hilarious. I'm sorry. Yeah. I loved it.
It was.
Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jesse.
No. I just was laughing still.
I think I'm going to write an article with this, but then I'll also put the embed for this episode so people can listen to it. But I've got a section called Imposter. Agatha Christie also loves the ruse of having the imposter.
Right.
I count. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 stories or novels where there are imposters. Mm-hmm. And some of them, there's more than one. I see one where a man impersonates another man. The killer impersonates a woman. The killer bribes someone to misidentify the corpse. Mm. And then the person who killed was also an impersonator. So she really likes that. In fact, it gets very confusing. So
with the imposter and the unicorn and the wasp, would that be the what? The unicorn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because she was pretending to be someone they knew, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so. So. Yeah, it's probably the unicorn.
Okay.
Yeah. And secret pregnancy. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3 novels have secret pregnancies, and in 2 of them, the secret baby was the murderer. So they like that too.
Yep, and that was here. We had a secret pregnancy,
and the baby.
Yep,
grew up to be
become exactly. So yeah,
which was sad. Poor people.
So, So they did not. You're breaking
up.
Writer, Oh, okay. The writer didn't just. He has really done some of the research to take all this Christie greatest hits.
Right.
Yeah, and weaved it into a story, which is amazing.
It's
very
awesome.
cool.
He hit all the notes. I mean, he got them all.
So Gareth Roberts must be a huge Agatha Christie fan, I would think, or at least has read enough, familiar with the style, and can just kind of like cherry pick certain elements.
I would think so. I mean, he must have at least had a passing knowledge of it because, he's got the baby, he's got the poison, he's got the stabbing, he's got the imposter, the jewelry thief, and the expensive jewelry, like the really unusual jewelry. He's got it all.
Yeah. So anything else?
Well, that was all for that part, but I also wanted to see who in this episode has actually been in Agatha Christie adaptations before.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of crossover between the murder mysteries and Doctor Who. So I did not know this, but Catherine Tate was in A Murder is Announced from 1995. That's a Miss Marple story, another one of Christie's favorite famous characters.
Right.
And she played a character called Mitzi Kozinski.
Okay.
And then Fenella Woolgar, who played Agatha Christie, she's been in 2 Poirot episodes. She was in one called Halloween Party, which is coincidentally one of the party episodes. And Lord Edgware Dies. So she was in 2. And David Quilter, I can't remember who he played in The Unicorn and the Wasp, but he was in The $1 Million Bond Robbery, another Christie adaptation.
Okay.
So there's a lot of shared universe there.
There is.
Nice.
Well, that's kudos to you for all that research.
Yeah,
thank you.
I am kind of speechless.
I am suitably impressed. You definitely impressed me. Because admittedly, I'm not an Agatha Christie expert. I'm more of a Sherlock Holmes fan. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's kind of like my wheelhouse.
You want to know a fun story?
What's a fun story?
I was reading on Wikipedia because the thing in the episode about Agatha Christie going missing is true. She did go missing. She went missing for 10 days. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, and once again, Wikipedia is always right, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle gave one of her gloves to a psychic to help try to locate her.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I was even thinking that they were in the same circles, but I guess so because
I wouldn't think he would be into psychics, but maybe it was just more of a desperation move.
No, he was. I know from that because Harry Houdini and him were at odds about that.
Oh,
I did not know.
Because Houdini was a debunker.
Yeah, he was a practical magician.
Right.
Yes. And while Conan Doyle,
he used to go around. Houdini used to go around debunking the mystics.
Yeah.
And so Conan Doyle believed in the supernatural.
Interesting.
Yes,
cool. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. I should have known that.
Yeah,
that's great.
So there's
see what great stuff you learn on the Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast.
Exactly.
And there's actually been some fictional books with both of those as the characters, kind of with that storyline of one of them believing and one of them not. The original X-Files, so to speak.
Nice.
That would be cool. I would love that.
Yeah, I will have to try to find that and pass it on.
That sounds great because I'm kind of curious about that myself. So so one of the things that I think is just hilarious about this episode is that this murder mystery is essentially the Doctor Who version of the board game Clue.
Yes.
I've kind of got I kind of compiled my own list here. So this is where I did research.
All right.
I wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty. But so what I have here, who each character in the Unicorn and the Wasp resembles in Clue. And I've got Clemency Edison, who is like Mrs. Edison, resembles Mrs. Peacock.
I could see that.
Robina Redmond, of course, the Unicorn, resembles Miss Scarlet.
Yes, definitely the sultry lady.
And of course, we've got Colonel Hugh Kirbishley resembling Colonel Mustard, which is pretty obvious. Professor Peach, that one's obvious. Obviously, a nod to Professor Plum.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we had Miss Chandralaka, who
The maid.
yeah, she was the maid that ends up getting killed by the gargoyle.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of resembles Miss White a little bit, I thought.
Okay.
Or at least she could kind of fit that role.
Yeah.
And then Reverend Arnold Golightly resembles Reverend Green. Now, in the British version of Clue, Mr. Green is a reverend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's kind of why they went that route with the reverend there.
Oh,
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting.
Very nice.
So.
And then Mr. Body.
Yeah.
Would be the Wasp, maybe? No, we already said Bicker. Who would Mr. Body be?
Good question.
I don't know.
I guess he's unseen.
Yeah.
He's the spirit of the show.
Unless you count the kids that were broken to the church.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know I'm kind of reaching on that one, but yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I just thought it was really interesting. It's like, they even kind of like acknowledged that in the episode where Donna's like, Professor Peach, and and then they start talking about Clue, but yeah.
Yeah, they do a drive-by, and that was one of the things that
like Professor Peach in the library with the knife or something like that.
And he kind of
or lead pipe,
doctor,
lead pipe,
yeah, the doctor looks at her like, move on, and so I thought that was very funny.
Yeah, it was.
Me too. That's what I would be thinking too.
Exactly. So I also have another list because this is a murder mystery story. And obviously, Doctor Who being on as long as it has, there's been other Doctor Who murder mysteries, some of which have kind of referenced Agatha Christie as well.
Okay.
But so my quick rundown of that, for those who might want to check out something similar, this is not the reverse the polarity segment, so I'm saving one of these episodes for the reverse the polarity.
Okay.
So the first one I have is The Robots of Death from 1977. I'll just hit this really quickly. This is from season 14. It's a Tom Baker era story where you have the Fourth Doctor and Leela arriving on a mining planet where there's a meteorologist who gets strangled, and the Doctor and Leela, of course, get blamed for it. Then there's like two more people that end up dead, and so they have to kind of figure out, who done it. In 1982, we had a story during the Peter Davison era called Black Orchid, where you have a murder that takes place at a masquerade party.
Party.
Yep, exactly.
We
have Terror of the Vervoids from 1986 by your favorite writing team, Pip and Jane Baker, Jesse.
Yeah.
From season 23, this is a Colin Baker Sixth Doctor story with the Sixth Doctor and Mel, where they end up responding to a Mayday message from the Starliner called the Hyperion 3. And, of course, they get there and people start dying, various suspects. So it's kind of like, almost like a Murder on the High Seas type story, only in space, of course. And then, of course, we had the episode Mummy on the Orient Express.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
Which should be obvious. It's just from recently, from 2014, the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi, and Clara, they arrive in a space train, and people start dying, claiming to be witnessing a mummy attack. So, but that one definitely is a nice little nod to Murder on the Orient Express.
Nice.
Yes.
So, and not copyright Donna Noble.
No,
okay.
No.
Yeah. No.
She tried to get that going.
She tried.
She
but
was
it's like,
funny about that, wasn't she?
Yeah, I thought so.
I thought she was kind of serious too. She was like, "No, really, copyright Donna Noble." I'm like, "No, you didn't write it."
Yeah.
So, was there anything else about this episode either of you wanted to talk about?
Oh, the pool. When I was talking about the silent pool, that's actually where Agatha Christie went missing.
Right.
That's
the
where
the lake. Yeah.
Well, it's called, if I remember correctly, it's called Silent Pool, and that's where
they showed the sign. Yeah, in the episode, right?
Yeah, and that's where she went missing. So they got that part right. I mean, nobody knows what really happened, but I like that they took that period of missing time, and as far as I know, no one will ever know what happened, and they just did their own thing with it. They're like, you know what, we're going to make up our own story, and it's totally plausible. I mean, except for maybe the giant wasp, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still plausible.
Hey, who doesn't run into a giant wasp now again?
Absolutely.
It happens. It does.
It does. So, Jesse, how about you? Is there anything you want to talk about the episode?
It was just a fun story. I liked the Agatha having her kind of conscious. It is a different tone than Vincent and the Doctor, but there is some similarities.
Right.
Where the Doctor is giving support to someone feeling not very successful.
Yeah,
and
I think Donna gives more support to Agatha than the Doctor does.
So. Yes, but just at the end when the Doctor is talking to him, saying you can, you can do this, and this is from you.
Right.
I like this a lot, and I thought it was a very, it played to Donna's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought all the characters themselves were good, and I just love the big reveal in the parlor with all that. Okay, so you're the murderer? No, you're the murderer. That's the murderer, and just back and forth.
And that's classic Christy too, huh?
Yeah. And I kind of like Donna in that scene where she's like, "Oh, so she killed him."
Yeah, like she's like eating popcorn or something.
Yeah, she's eating something like that. And
that would be me. I'd be like eating, candy bar and being like, okay, so who's the murderer? Because I would have no clue. I'd be like,
exactly.
Well, who did it? Tell me. I want to know.
Right.
Yeah, Donna's kind of sitting there like the popcorn GIF meme where you're just constantly eating. Like I'm just here to watch the comments.
Right. Exactly.
Like it could be Tracy Jordan or something eating, popcorn. Like who's gonna win? Who did it?
That's great. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get everybody's ratings on this episode. Let's start with Lola. Lola, what's your rating on this episode?
Are we doing it out of 10?
We are doing it out of 10, just like we do on Fandom Zone.
Okay. Now I forgot to think.
I should have mentioned that, but that's on me.
Let's see if I can figure out something really quickly.
Okay.
I give it 9 poison stabbing knives.
Very nice. And Jesse, how about you?
I am going to give it 7 outstanding lists of Agatha Christie references from a great guest star.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I like it.
All right. You kind of rebounded a little bit. So
thank you. Yes.
All right. You kind of pulled that one out. I wasn't sure where you're going with that, but okay.
Sounded good to me.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Definitely did. So my rating, I'm a little closer to Lola on this one. I give this one 8.5 out of 10 ginormous wasp stingers because
I like that.
Those things. I mean,
that thing was huge.
I would be afraid to touch that thing.
Yeah, it was huge, and I've been allergic to wasps in the past, and kind of.
So is this kind of like a little traumatizing?
No. I just I haven't been totally sold on Donna yet, so it's hard for me to give a Donna episode higher than a 7.
Yeah. Lola's giving Jesse the eye roll.
I know she is. If it had been a different companion, I probably would have gone closer to y'all's 8 or 9. But you're working on me.
Okay.
Just keep chipping away, Lola.
Just think about Rose being in it and her just giving lovey eyes to the Doctor, and then maybe you'll rethink it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because she would have been all mooning and making it all about Rose, and so.
No, and Martha, the reason I like is Martha was independent and held her own.
Right.
I think she held her own as a companion, and I sometimes think that Donna is just there for comedy relief. I don't know what she brings to the team.
Well, she's the everyday person that just kind of,
yes.
Just like Rose, she was the everyday person that goes off and, because with Donna, and we kind of talked about this before, the reason I like Donna is that she starts off being this kind of self-absorbed character.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But then she broadens her horizons as she travels with the Doctor. And so by the time, in Journey's End, where we're saying goodbye to her because of having her brain all amped up with Time Lord stuff.
Yes.
And, that the Doctor has to basically erase her memories of what, and that is just so heartbreaking because
that broke my heart.
Because all that ground as a person, that development, that growing up that Donna did is just completely wiped.
And she's
she, it's like hitting the reset button. She
like
starts
at her
back
wedding,
over.
she's just being her old
ditzy,
self.
stupid.
So it's heartbreaking.
I don't know. I just don't have time. But I think as we watch through, that would make an interesting, because I've never thought of that.
Yep.
That is an interesting journey that she's going on, and to have that.
Because if you think about it, she goes to help liberate the planet of the Ood, and in this episode, and the midnight.
Yeah.
Dr. Donna, she takes all of that knowledge into herself,
Right. Yep. So.
And then it's heartbreaking when her grandfather is heartbroken, and that's when I lost it. Yeah. He said, "Please, you made her such a better person. Don't do this." I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And when Bernard Cribbins as Wilf cries, we all cry.
I cried so hard. I was like, no. But then he got to be a companion, so that was cool.
Yeah. Yes. Because Wilf is just inherently cool.
He's awesome. I love him.
He is great.
I agree with that.
All right. So real quick, I'm going to do a reverse the polarity with one of the stories I kind of mentioned earlier, Black Orchid. And this was, like I said, from 1982. And this was season 19. And what this was, the reason I chose this one as my kind of comparison to the Unicorn and the Wasp is essentially because it's set in 1925 England, so not too far away from this story.
Right.
And it's actually at a country estate.
Got that.
So, which was one of your things that you mentioned, where we have the Fifth Doctor being mistaken for an actual doctor, and he, along with his companions Tegan, Nyssa, and Adric, are driven to an English country estate, and they end up crashing this annual costume ball.
Party.
Exactly.
We got that.
So we have this mysterious figure taking the Doctor's masked Harlequin costume that he's given for the party.
Imposter.
Exactly. And so the Doctor ends up blamed for the murder of a butler. And then there's an attack on Anne, a young woman who just happens to look exactly like Nyssa, his companion, because it's played by the same actress, but in dual roles, but that's why. So again, we have kind of like a doppelganger thing going here. Using the TARDIS, the Doctor convinces the head of the police that he's actually telling the truth because he takes him inside the TARDIS, goes, "See, I'm not lying about being a time traveler."
Yeah.
But there's a second body that gets discovered, and then the true murderer ends up starting a fire at the estate. Nyssa gets mistaken for Anne by the murderer, of course. But the Doctor convinces the murderer to release Nyssa shortly before the murderer falls off the roof to his death.
Something falling off a roof.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's kind of why I chose Black Orchid. So if you enjoyed Unicorn and the Wasp, you might want to go back and check out Black Orchid.
That's perfect. It hit all the notes.
Yes, it did. Good job.
So that's it. So I guess that's about it, really. Now, next time, Next Stop Everywhere, we're going to be finally talking about The Innocent, because I finally got my audio.
Okay.
Now, this is, for those who don't know, this is another Big Finish audio series. This is the War Doctor. So we have John Hurt reprising the War Doctor, and we're getting like untold stories of the Time War, where we have the War Doctor versus the Daleks. And I've already listened to about, I'd say, the first 20 minutes of it, and it's great. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And Jesse, I will definitely get you a copy so that we talk about that next time. Okay. But so yeah, and then once we do that, we'll finally kind of get back on our schedule a little bit.
Okay.
But I'm kind of curious to see what you think, especially because all we know of the War Doctor is really the Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special.
Right.
So I was really like, okay, I got to know more about this guy. I'm interested, like, the Forgotten Doctor.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I think it'll be a fun episode.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
Very
the
nice.
Innocent. So if you want to check it out yourselves, you can go to bigfinish.com and you can either download it, or you can go to either Amazon or Who North America. You can order the set, so you have a nice little shiny CD like yours truly.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about your hard drive getting wiped and losing it. So
That would
there you
suck.
go.
yeah, because
Yes.
that is the suck.
Mm-hmm.
So Lola, where can everybody, now that they've listened to you and taken
Become obsessed with me and want to hear more.
Exactly. Where else can they find you?
Well, I have my own website, LolaLariscy.com. That's LolaLariscy.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't posted there in a while because I spend a lot of my time posting on ScannerDrome.com,
Mm-hmm.
which is ScannerDrome.com. I edit that site, and I do we write articles on there, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but we also do YouTube shows every 2 weeks. Last night we did 2 shows. One where we talked about 2 shows on Netflix, one called Transporter and the other House of Cards.
Right.
And then we did a second show where we talked about a movie on Netflix, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny.
That is on my queue. I'm definitely want to check that out because I have a huge Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon
Okay.
Yeah.
fan.
Mm-hmm. It was
Nice.
good. We kind of had mixed opinions, and if you want to check that out, it's on our YouTube and also on Google Plus, and hopefully it'll be on our website when I go in there and post it, or someone post it. And I'm also on Twitter, Lola Lariscy, and also at ScannerDrome Mag, and that's pretty much me tweeting. I like to live tweet, so pretty much all of the superhero shows I live tweet. Doctor Who when it's on,
Mhm.
Walking Dead. I live tweet a lot of stuff.
As do
Okay.
I. So that's why
Cool.
I think I got to know you a little bit
Yeah.
before we started, discussing things on Phantom Zone podcast and here. So,
Mhm.
Yes.
so yep. And we follow each other, which is even better.
It's very exciting and very fun. I retweet, and I'm like, if I see something I think someone will be interested, I'll go, hey, shout out at Charles Skaggs. It's very exciting.
I love you for that. So thank you
Thank
for doing
you.
that. Thank you for helping promote Phantom Zone and also Next Stop Everywhere. We really
You're
appreciate
very
it.
welcome. You're very welcome.
So we are more than happy to return the favor.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So Jesse, how about you? Where can they find you?
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW, and I am on Next Stop Everywhere, as you guys know, because I'm here, but
Mhm.
also doing Set Lusting Bruce,
Right?
and and Lola's episode's going to be coming soon. I really think you're going to like it.
So check that out, people.
Absolutely. On Facebook, Jesse Jackson from Louisville, Texas, and we'll go from there. And Charles, how about yourself?
Myself, I am at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine.
Nice.
Also at Charles Skaggs on the Instagrams.
Mhm.
Google Plus for all you crazy kids on the Google Plus.
Mhm.
Shout out to Karen. And Facebook, of course. And my blog of geeky things, Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I
Even
talk
though you
about,
don't like coffee.
I don't like coffee. I drink tea, just like Sting. No, he threw me off my game. So yeah, I talk about Doctor Who, of course, Next Stop Everywhere, the Phantom Zone podcast, and all the 50 million comic book TV shows that we watch.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Because we can take it.
It's
Yes.
cool because
So-
it's cool.
All
It
kinds
is
of geeky
cool.
stuff. So I hope you check it out, and I hope you like it.
Good.
So, and as for Next Stop Everywhere, this wonderful show, you want to check us out at Next Stop SMG on Twitter. And then we have our Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast Facebook account, of course. And on there, on our Facebook, we have links to where you can check out, get the official Next Stop Everywhere t-shirt.
Mhm.
So, and also if you would, please go to iTunes and give us a rating if you would. Hopefully you like us. and just kind of so we can kind of expand the empire, such as it is.
As some of our brethren say,
Mhm.
5 stars, nothing but love. If you like us, tell the world. If you don't, send an email directly to us and tell us what we're doing wrong.
Or
Because we
just
want to hear
think about your
feedback.
own life. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Or just pay attention to your own life and figure out what's going on in your own life.
Yeah, if you don't like us, that's fine.
It is.
We're big adults. We can take it.
I just
but we hope you
received-
like us and want to at least let us know.
I received a 1-star review on Set Lusting Bruce, and
I think it really bothered you, didn't it?
it did bother me. But I think
Why?
the person had, I think he had good
Issues,
feedback
mental?
too. No, I think there was valid feedback.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
See, I thought
All
that was
right.
because
That's fair.
I checked out that review.
Yeah.
And I noticed that it's like the only 1-star review. Everything else is 5 stars.
Right.
So it's completely the outlier.
Yes.
So I wouldn't take it too closely to
I don't, but I did a LinkedIn blog.
You can listen to it. And
Yes, where I talked about when you ask for feedback as a manager, you have to understand sometimes they're going to give you feedback that you may not want to hear. So I'm taking that and addressing it.
Yep.
So.
Oh, and I should mention that we got a really cool follower on Next Up SMG.
Yes.
Ooh.
We got the woman who does the voice of Siri.
Oh, how very
She just recently followed us today.
I gotta
nice.
find
And
that.
she goes by a handle. I think it's seriously, like Siri, SIRI, Asli,
Oh,
Susan.
nice.
And she followed us. I'm not sure why, but that's kind of awesome that she did. So
That is,
heard it.
we appreciate it.
So yeah, we definitely appreciate that. Anytime we get somebody that has like the blue check of awesome next to their
I get
name,
excited.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I thought
I'm like, it's a real person.
I thought that was kind of
They're
cool.
valid.
And
You're
am
not a spam bot.
I
and
know. I'm happy. As
Yes.
long as it doesn't say 0 post or
Right.
pictures of things I don't want to see, I'm happy.
So
And I am saying to Jody Stump at TLab77, you need to be on this show so we can put Bruce and Doctor Who together.
That sounds awesome.
That's an open throw out there.
Two great tastes that
he's-
go great together.
he's been angling for this forever.
Yes, it is. Yes.
He's determined to
So-
make that happen.
Yeah. I know Charles is fixing to close us out, but I did want to tell you, Lola, it was wonderful having you on here.
Yes,
You
thank
are
you.
a joy,
Thank
and it is
You're
so
welcome
much
back
fun.
anytime you want to talk Doctor
I
Who.
would love that.
Absolutely.
Cool. If it ever comes back, but yeah, I would
Well,
love
that's
that.
why we're here, because we help fill in the hiatus.
You keep us going.
Yep. So just we're the excuse to go back and watch some Doctor Who or listen to some Big Finish audio, maybe something you haven't checked out. So just kind of go through the hiatus. We'll get you through it. We've been through it before.
Mhm.
We can do it again. So
We're tough. We're strong.
exactly, we're Whovians. We've been through it before. It's no big. It's all timey-wimey. We can do it.
Exactly. We
Yes.
could just get in the TARDIS and go forward a year.
Right.
or at
That
least
would be
or at least to Christmas, where we get the new episode.
Exactly. We'll go to Christmas and then we'll hop right back. We don't even have to stay. We'll just stay an hour.
There you go. I
That'll be-
like the way you think, Lola.
Exactly.
Indeed.
All right. So, Jesse, do we have a closing quote by any chance?
I can grab one real quick.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Not sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot. I thought,
No, that is fine. I opened the thing. I went perfect. I'm just going to read my first thing I read.
Okay.
Keep hope alive, and remember, this planet is going to be destroyed, and I'm stuck in a traffic jam.
Nice.
I like that. Okay.
Which episode is that from? You know?
From the TV movie.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Very nice. The Paul McGann.
That was the Paul McCann one, right?
Yep. Paul McGann. That's
I
it.
remember that one.
All right, everybody. So that does it for us for Next Stop Everywhere. Remember, we're going to talk about the innocent next time, and we'll see you in time and space. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.